Chapter 7.6, Day 1. Today's lesson is pretty straightforward. The only necessary skill for this information is your ability to program your calculator. Of course, we've been trying to do that for a while, so I hope that you're at least up to speed on that. But because we have a test coming up soon, which is next week, to end out the quarter, the rest of the material is going to be based on reviewing the exponent rules that will be assessed. Again, as I told you before, the exponent rules are very important. You have to make sure you know them. That is the way that you do well on this test. But this information, I think, can be some free information for you. So be sure to use all of the time wisely. The best time to prepare for a test is at least 1 week before it will begin or be taken. Based off of my clock, we have 9 days to prepare. So this is no excuse. I am warning you right now. You have 9 days to get ready for your test. So there's no excuse not to be ready for the end of the quarter. Those of you who need to pass the semester need to consider the strategy. Remember that if you fail one quarter, you have to pass the second quarter and the final. That means you have to do well second quarter, which the material is probably tougher than this quarter, and on the final, which covers everything including this quarter, which means the only way that you probably fail this quarter and pass these two things is if you begin studying like crazy, which a lot of you I don't think have that in you just yet, for the whole rest of the next 3 months, which is tough. Or 2 months, which is very tough. So like I said, my best advice for you is to make sure you start studying now for the test next week so you can get to where you need to be and pass this semester. But it does put a lot of pressure on material for the future. My best advice is that you work as hard as you can to review properly, starting now, not starting next week or not starting right before the test, so your performance can be at its best. All we're going to do here is look at a few examples and move on to the material, because it's really not anything that needs to be taught. It's just more like something that needs to be introduced and shown officially. So you'll see a question that says evaluate the function for the given value. If you remember last year in 134a, you learned about f of x. You learned that f isn't even part of it. It just means it's a function of x is equal to 5 to the power of x. And all it means is whenever they give you a number for x, that you want to turn all of your x's into 4. So in other words, they want to know f of 4 equals what? Again, this has no purpose in this equation outside of it being a label. We are looking for f of 4 based off of f of x. But again, this side of the equation really means nothing. You don't even really do anything over here. What we do, though, is we do plug in the number 4 for x. And so all we have to do is type in 5 to the 4th, get the answer of 625, and understand that f to the 4th, or f of 4, I'm sorry, is simply 625. This is all you have to do. Notice all of our work was here. We simply turned our x's into 4's, plugged in 4, got our answer. That's all. It's calculator work. It is nothing else. It's not rules. It's not exponent rules. It is programming your calculator and typing exactly what you see. B says evaluate the function for the given value. Once again, this just says y equals, and again, all you're going to do is take this 3, plug it in for x. So you get y equals 24 times 0.5 to the 3rd. Guess what you do? You type exactly what you see. 24 times 0.5 caret 3 equals, and you get the answer of 3. Nothing tough about that, nothing complex about that. Just make sure you're ready to do it. Again, whenever it says evaluate for the given value, it means plug that value in for x and let's see what we get. Now, it's very important that you learn that, because over the next couple days we're going to be using this to graph. So make sure you at least know how to evaluate these things, otherwise your graphs will not work. Evaluate the function over the given domain, -2, -1, blah, blah, blah. Here's what happens. You got to remember from last year that domain means x values. And then the second question says, as the values of the domain, which again means x values, as x values increase, do the values of the range, if you remember last year, I think it was chapter 4, range is your y values. They're saying, so as x increases, do the values of y increase or decrease? So again, this statement pretty much means, and you might want to write down, domain means x, range means y, for yourself in your notes. But again, evaluate the function over the domain, which means x's, for -2 all the way to 3. As the values of the domain, which means x, increase, do the values of the range, which means y, increase or decrease? So here's all you have to do. You take this first value of x, which remember that's your domain, you put it in here, you plug it in. 4.5, remember all this is doing is plugging in for the x. 4.5 to the -2nd. Which we want to turn into a fraction math, enter, which is 4/81. So negative 2 led to the answer 4 over 81. Negative 1. Let's see again, that's 4.5. Turn this into a negative 1. So 4.5 to the negative first. Turn it into a fraction. You get 2/9. 0 is next. 4.5 to the 0. I think we learned a while ago that anything to the 0 power is 1, and that is true. 1 is next. 4.5 to the first. Anything to the first power should be itself, but we want to turn that into a fraction, so I will do that. 9 over 2. To the second power, so let's use the power of 2. 4.5 to the second gives me 20.25, which is actually 81 over 4. And then 3. They want me to also evaluate for the number 3. So 4.5 to the third, turn it into a fraction. Notice that was 91 something, which is 729 over 8. And again, that was 4.5 to the third. That is your evaluation over the domain. Again, you use these numbers for x, and this is your numbers for y. And again, your question is, does the range increase or decrease? Notice 4 out of 81 was 0 point something. That was also 0 point something. That was 1. That's about 4. That's like 20 something. That's 91 something. So basically, as you're looking at these values, moving across this list, they increase. It might be easier to use a decimal form. 4 divided by 81 is 0.5. 2 divided by 9 is 2.2. Notice how that number went up. 1, of course, is bigger than 2.2. 9 divided by 2, this is bigger than 1. 81 divided by 4, that is bigger than 4. And then, of course, we know the last one's like 90 something. So again, that is pretty much all that question's asking you to do, is to evaluate it over a certain number of x's. They just give you a bunch of x's. Again, they're going to get you ready for graphing. And then they're asking if it increases or decreases. The last type of question you're going to see from this material is pretty much is just a decision question. Again, the algebra you're getting into is not going to get much tougher. I won't say that it won't get tougher. I mean, the material will still be there. You still got to learn stuff. But really what they want you to do in algebra is learn to make decisions. And so what they're going to do is they're going to give you things where you have to make a decision, or they're going to give you things like this where you have to take your time and process more than just plug the answer in and get the number for the answer. So this just says which function has a greater value for the given value of x. And it has one f of x over here, one f of x over here, and they want to use x equals 2. And all we have to do is go f of 2 equals 7 times 3 to the second, which means all we have to do is do 7 times 3 to the second, which gives me the answer of 63. So f of 2 over here is 63. Not that tough. Next thing we do is we go f of 2 over here equals 120 times, in this case it's going to be 2 to the third, because that's where my x is. That means that's where my 2 goes. Alright, so 120 times parentheses 2 to the third is 960. And so if it says which function has a greater value, your answer would be the one that says f of x equals, because 960 is bigger than 63, it would be this one, 120 times x to the third. That would be your answer. Again, notice my answer is not 960, it's not 63. They are asking us now to do more analysis. They're just saying which one is bigger, and so our answer is not a number, it is a function. It's the function that gave the bigger number. The rest of this lesson, the rest of the work is pretty much just to kind of review this stuff from here, and then it's going to be material from power properties and things like that, because again, you have a test next week, so you want to make sure that you practice, ask questions, and do whatever you need to do to be ready for that test next week, so you do not fail this quarter, so you do not potentially fail a semester. Allowing yourself to fail this quarter means that there's really no sympathy if you end up failing a semester, because again, we are studying for the next 9 days to get ready for this test. Other than that, good luck.